All right. So thank you for the introduction. What we looked at is how to best automate password change using password managers. And just to give you a brief overview of what is to come, I first will tell you why this is an interesting and also important topic. Then I will show you the concept for automatic password change that we came up with. And we implemented this as a prototype, as a Firefox add-on, and we actually did a study. And I will talk about these two things, and then I will outline how we want to continue this work. So to give you a little bit of an introduction to this thing, why we looked at it, the project I'm currently working in is actually part of an initiative in Germany that tries to bring practically relevant security to organizations. And the project I'm working in, that is the KMU Aware, has the goal to develop IT security awareness and education materials to relevant topics. And one of these topics is managing passwords. And if you look at the problems that people actually have when managing their passwords is that they have so many. They're completely overloaded. The primary problem with text passwords is that there's interference between all the passwords we have. And one of the solutions that is frequently recommended to people is using a password manager. And at this point, we basically directly come to the topic of password change. Because when you first adopt a password manager, among the first things you should do is get rid of all your bad legacy self-created passwords that were created so you could remember them easily. Because now you can rely on the password manager to remember all these passwords for you. However, unfortunately, the difficulty of changing these passwords is one of the main reasons, or has been identified, one of the main reasons hindering adoption of password manager, because it's actually quite a hassle. And so we started this work with two goals in mind. The first one being that we wanted to enable fully automatic password change using password managers. And on top of that, we wanted people to be able to use this technology to actually respond to breaches in a timely manner. Because you might have heard when Heartbleed hit, even months later, there were still, it was still in the news that more than half of the people that were actually affected never changed their passwords. And now we're not the first ones to think about this. Actually, some popular password managers, such as LastPass or Dashlane, actually support automatic change. But they only support a very small number of sites, actually, because, well, LastPass has 79, Dashlane has 315, and it's basically the most popular US websites. And so immediately the question arises, what about all the other websites all around the world? And our solution, or our proposed solution to this problem is crowdsourcing. And here the general idea is that the users are able to teach the password manager how to actually change a password on a certain website. And then they can change this information with other users, so these can benefit from this information and use this to change passwords with their password manager automatically as well. And on top of that, we believe that also the incident reporting can be crowdsourced, so users, service providers, security experts can contribute to that, and there can actually be notifications sent out to the people. And so how does this, this now very abstract, how does this look in a more concrete way? So I'm going to introduce this one part at a time. And the password manager here is the core that we're building on. This is only the relevant component, so this could be a lot more complicated. But what we basically need is a place to store passwords, to generate passwords, and the password manager should be able to also handle user-generated passwords. And on top of that, we build a password changer module. And we have these three components here that are responsible for the password change. And the first one here is the recorder. That is actually the component that the user can use to create what we call a blueprint for this password change. So when he changes the password on a website, he can start a recording, and this will simply produce a transcript of the action that are performed, like what forms are filled on the website, what buttons are clicked, and which pages are navigated to. Then the recording can be stopped. The blueprint is stored in the blueprint manager, and later on the user can actually use this player component to play back the blueprint and to change the password automatically. Now, one of the issues here is that to fully automate this, you actually need to generate a password that complies to the password composition policy, no matter how arbitrary it may be on whatever website you're currently on. And so in an ideal world, of course, the web service would offer this composition policy in a machine-readable way. Unfortunately, this is not widespread the case, to say the least. And so we believe that during the recording procedure, we should also record this password composition policy if it is not available from the web service, so that it is available when we play back the blueprint. Now, there are two more components in the password changer itself, and that is the notification manager, which simply handles notifications to the user about breaches and can actually display user notifications. And now the really interesting part is when we come to the crowdsourcing. So we have these trust authorities here. And these trust authorities basically serve two functions. They are the hub for the crowdsourcing activities and can offer two services. The first one is a blueprint exchange service, and that's probably the most obvious thing. So the user simply records this blueprint, then it's in the manager, and he can upload it. And afterwards, the trust authority should actually screen this content, make sure that it's valid and that it's non-malicious, and afterward, other users can download it to simply perform this automatic change on their machines. The second function is the notification service, and I think this here also the users can report any breaches they become aware of, but also here we believe that the web services and security experts would be very good sources to actually provide this information. And now, why do we call this trust authority? We believe that this is content where accuracy is important, and so we believe that the trust authorities should digitally sign all the information that they provide, so that the authenticity of the content is actually assured. And you can see here that we have multiple of these trust authorities available. This is simply, we believe it should be flexible enough to support multiple of these trust authorities, and that users can then actually choose which trust authorities, which of these services they subscribe to, just like we have it with ad blockers today. So we can subscribe to certain filter lists depending on what we actually want. And to offer this same choice,
what do you mean by
blueprint? The blueprint is basically a transcript of the user's actions. I have a video. You will see the whole process in a few minutes. All right. And so from this concept, we built a prototype using for the Firefox browser as a Firefox add-on. And so we use the Firefox password manager. Now this one can generate passwords, so we also implemented a little password generator that is rudimentary in the add-on just for testing purposes. And so we implemented only the core components here because we wanted to actually give this to users and gather feedback on the idea of recording blueprints and playing them back. All right, and since we have only these core components, there are two actions the user can do. He can record a blueprint and he can play it back. And how that actually looks like, you can see now I have prepared videos for both of these actions. And I will pause this video in between to highlight some challenges because there will be things that seem unintuitive. And I just going to explain that while we're there. Okay, so basically first you see this little icon up here. That's the one you saw on the title slide. That's basically the interface that's always visible to the user. And if we click on that, we get a menu with two simple items. We can either start an ad hoc recording if we are already on a website that we want to create a blueprint for. And the second one is an account list where we can access all the accounts that are in the password manager. That looks like this. It's a prototype interface, so it's not really beautiful or anything, but it's functional. We have the website with our user account. Now we only have one account here, which is for GitHub, and we have the relevant actions we can perform. We can change a password automatically. We can change a password in manual mode, which means the blueprint is executed just to the point where we actually reach the form to change the password, and the user can change the password himself. When he then submits this form, the rest of the blueprint is executed. And we have this export functionality in the prototype, which is basically exporting the blueprint to the desktop to save it. We can also look at what blueprints are available in the system, and currently there are none. But we're now going to record one. And if we click this button, the password manager will actually tell us that there is no blueprint available and whether we want to create one, and we want to create one. And what the add-on then actually does, it directly opens the website and starts the recording for us. So now the button here has changed from start recording to stop recording. And the add-on is actually making the transcript. And here is one of the things that we needed to impose on the user already, because it's not easy to detect reliably when a user is logged in, because all websites handle that very, very differently. And so for this prototype, we simply set the rule: if you start a recording or you want to play back a blueprint, you have to be logged out of the account. That is a limitation, but that was the easiest way to handle it. And so the blueprint also needs to include both the login and the logout procedures, so people don't end up being logged in just because they changed the password. Oops, sorry, that was bad. All right, so we continue with the recording. We just sign in. And here comes the next thing. And this is also a known problem, because websites do not tend to label the form fields in any meaningful way, and that changes everywhere. So what we need people to do is to label these fields for the recording. We have these three types: the username, the current password, and the new password. And so we're here on the login site, so we label the field with the username, and as feedback that this field has been dealt with, it is highlighted in yellow. Then we do this for the password, which we mark as current password, and then we just continue signing in. And now we navigate to the page where we can set the new password. And also here, we now have to label these fields to be able to play that back later on. And here it's important that we actually perform this password change, because we do not know what happens after we press the update password button. There might be other websites that appear, and so we actually want the user to really perform this change. And so after having filled a new password, we click update, and then we are finished, and we can, as the last step, log out of the account. And then we can stop the recording, and that's basically it. If we now go to the account list, we can look at the blueprints again and see that our newly created blueprint is now available in the system. All right. So just as a quick summary of the challenges that we faced there, it's difficult to detect if users are actually logged in. And so we had to impose this, that the user has to be logged out before the recording and before playing back one of the blueprints. And automatic detection of the form fields is difficult. This is a well-known problem, and we had to work around this. So users have to label these fields. All right, so that's the recording procedure. Now, how does this look if we actually play back such blueprint? So start again in the browser, and so this is a situation. We have this bad legacy password that we want to change. And to do that, we just go to our account list. And then we see the blueprint is available. And we can now click on Change Password Automatically. And this, this alert pop-up that comes here is actually one of the challenges that arose, because while implementing this in Firefox, the API actually suggested that it would be possible to do this in the background, but that didn't really work out. So this just tells the user, we will now open up a new window, and you will be able to watch this change happen live. We would like to do it in the background, but unfortunately, we currently can. So when we click OK, this new window actually comes up, and it starts playing back the blueprint. So I let the mouse cursor there. I sometimes close this one window of the password manager that appears, but other than that, there's no interaction with the website. It just plays back the whole thing. And so one thing I want to mention, this is now relatively quick, but actually this still works on throttle, because if you do this too quickly, it actually can trigger abuse detection mechanisms, for example, on GitHub. So
yeah, so I have a question. Speaking of abuse detection, many websites try to defend exactly in this type of scenario where some type of program is trying to change the passwords for the user. So they introduce malware detection and captures and other mechanisms to prevent that. Can you deal with that? Like
perhaps I can just address these questions after I've shown everything. Okay. All right. So what we do is that we simply introduced a 2-second delay after each action. That was actually enough. We first thought about actually recording the timing of the user, but it ended up much faster to just introduce this delay. All right. And so once this is finished, we get the message that the password has been changed successfully. And to show you, it has actually changed in the password manager. And no, this is not the current password for the account. You don't have to try. And we can also log in with this new password to the account. All right. So again, highlighting the two challenges. Here, it was not possible to perform the change in the background. So we just performed it in the foreground with informing the user about that. And automatic password change can actually trigger these abuse detection mechanisms. And to counter that, we had this 2-second delay after each action in the blueprint. All right, and now having this prototype, we were eager to give this to people and actually gather feedback on what they think about this add-on. And so we conducted a user study to do a usability evaluation and to gather feedback about the general idea of recording these blueprints and playing them back. And so we invited people to our lab. The laptop was provided, so installing Firefox or the add-on was not part of the study. They just used it, and they both recorded a blueprint and played them back. And they were also informed about the export functionality. How this worked for each participant is that they first had to sign a consent form. That is simply because we used a think aloud method. So we gave them the add-on and asked them to comment all the actions and thoughts. So we get the whole feedback. And we recorded this. We made an audio recording, and so we needed the consent for that, of course. Then the participants received instructions on how to operate the add-on and the actual task they had to perform. And then the participants performed the tasks with this think aloud method, and in the end, they filled out a system usability scale questionnaire. We had 8 participants in this study, and from the results, we actually got very positive feedback. So first of all people were able to perform these tasks, and we actually got an average system usability scale score of 82.5, even for this prototype implementation, which indicates a good to excellent usability rating. And in general, also from the think aloud, we had very positive feedbacks that people thought it was really good that they could do this automatically, that they do not have to do this, because many people actually admitted to not changing their passwords as frequently as they would like because it's too much hassle. But there also were mainly 2 issues that were voiced very frequently. And the first one was that people simply didn't like and didn't understand why they had to label these form fields, because the computer was showing them these form fields, and now they had to tell the computer what these form fields actually were. And it was basically like, this is something the computer should do. And we completely agree with our participants. And this is one of the reasons why we really hope that proposals such as the password manager-friendly markup language actually see wider adoption, because this would make these things so much easier and so much better for the users. And the second issue that was voiced was with regard to the security of the blueprint. So people were actually wondering whether it was whether it was possible to manipulate these blueprints on their machine, so that these would do malicious stuff. And we believe that if we actually have the whole infrastructure with the digital signatures in place, and it is actually communicated to the users that the authenticity is actually assured from the trust authority they subscribe to, that this would at least somewhat address this issue. But of course, further development and design and the further design will have to account for these issues. All right, now where do we see this work going? Well, from this positive feedback from the users, we actually started implementing all the remaining parts. This is currently underway, and we want to evaluate all these parts together because the actual crowdsourcing was now not part of this initial study, and it brings in a new dynamic, so we need to test that as well. And as part of this evaluation, we also want to look into whether additional incentives are needed for people to actually participate in these crowdsourcing activities, or whether this will work. Just because there are benefits if I can download and upload these things. All right, and that's basically it. If you have any questions, and I know you have, then now's the time.